This is Cars 3 and we've personalised this story for Jack, but you could be the star of this story. Jack was on the way home with the family after a great day at the local racetrack. Jack could still hear the roar of the car engines as they raced around the track, and the smell of burning rubber from the tyres still lingered in Jack's nose. Jack wondered what it would be like to be a car and began to daydream. The daydream led Jack to the motor speedway of the south, where the atmosphere was building for the big race. Jack was a car, and not just any car. Jack was part of the pit crew team for the legendary Lightning Mcqueen. Lightning sat in his trailer, focusing on the race ahead. "Speed, I am speed," he chanted, revving his engine. In a flash of red, Lightning sped by his fans as the stadium exploded with cheers. He couldn't help but smile as he blistered past his favourite competitors, Cal, Bobby and Brick. The checkered flag waved and Lightning flew across the finish line for the win. Lightning smiled as he went to collect his trophy. He'd lost count of how many races he'd won, but he knew he couldn't have won any of them without the help of his team, including Jack. A few days later, at the Copper Canyon Speedway, Lightning found himself in the familiar position of first place as he led a pack of cars around the track. As he turned onto the final straight, a mysterious car appeared from nowhere. He swept past Lightning and took the victory. Jack looked on in shock. Who was that? His name was Jackson Storm, a next-gen car whose modern build and high-tech training made him the ultimate racer. As the weeks went on, Lightning continued to lose to Storm despite his best efforts. To make matters worse, Cal and the older racers began to retire as they couldn't compete with Storm and the rest of the next gens. The racing world was changing faster than Lightning and Jack could believe. Lightning refused to retire. During the next race, Lightning managed to pull into the lead after a speedy pit stop with help from Jack. Sadly, the lead didn't last long as Storm coasted past him effortlessly. "No, no, 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 no," yelled Lightning as he strained to catch up with Storm. He pushed himself too hard. Suddenly, Lightning lost control, spinning wildly. He crashed into the side of the track, which sent him catapulting into the air. Lightning came crashing back down to earth before bouncing several times, finally coming to a stop in the middle of the track. Lightning was taken home to Radiator Springs to recover from the crash, and for the next few months he was without his iconic red paint. He felt very down and isolated himself in Doc Hudson's garage. There he watched footage of the fabulous Hudson Hornet's career-ending crash and contemplated his own retirement. Luckily for Lightning, he had some of the best friends a car could wish for. Jack, Mater and the rest of the gang encouraged Lightning not to give up on his career. His sponsors, Rusty and Dusty, had invited Lightning to their brand new Rust Ease Racing Centre for him to get back on his racing tyres. Jack was also invited. Ramon gave Lightning a new paint job, and Luigi and Guido packed up Mac's trailer. Early the next morning, Lightning and Jack said their goodbyes and left for the new racing centre. For the first time in a long while, Lightning felt hopeful. Lightning and Jack were greeted at the centre by a wealthy business car named Sterling. He explained that he had bought Rusty's from Rusty and Dusty, so the racing centre was now his. "I've been a fan of yours forever, and now I'm your sponsor. How great is that?" Sterling told Lightning. Sterling took Lightning and Jack on a tour of the centre. They were impressed with how modern and shiny everything looked, especially the high-tech racing simulator. A yellow car was currently using it, racing at an impressive speed. "Who's the racer?" Lightning asked. No, she's not a racer, she's a trainer," said Sterling. "Cruz Ramirez, the best trainer in the business." Cruz agreed to train Lightning. He was desperate to use the simulator, but Cruz advised him that he wasn't ready. Instead, Lightning began training on a treadmill, which Cruz set at a slow pace. Lightning was bored with the slow training. The simulator was now free and he rushed to get on it. But Cruz was right. Lightning wasn't ready. He freed himself from the restraints of the simulator and crashed through the screen. Sterling witnessed the crash and was disappointed in Lightning. He decided to stop Lightning from competing in the first race of the season. Lightning pleaded for another chance. Sterling agreed, but only on the condition that if Lightning lost, he would retire to support Sterling's plan to sell Lightning McQueen merchandise. Lightning agreed to the deal and continued to be trained by Cruz, but now the training was on his terms. Together with Cruz and Jack, Lightning began his training at Fireball Beach, but still couldn't reach his top speed. "What I need," said Lightning, "is to race against actual racers." Lightning, Cruz and Jack made their way to the nearby Thunder Hollow Speedway and entered the upcoming race. Lightning disguised himself with mud to avoid being recognised and prepared to race alongside Cruz and Jack. It was only when the other racers were introduced that they realised this was no ordinary race. This was a demolition derby. Lightning, Cruz and Jack did well to survive the chaos of the demolition derby. Lightning did his best to give driving tips to Cruz. Somehow, she managed to outsmart the other vehicles, including a monster school bus named Miss Fritter, and won the derby. Cruz was so happy with her victory that she accidentally bumped into Mr. Drippy the water truck, causing his spout to fly off. Water sprayed everywhere, washing Lightning's mud disguise away. Lightning, Cruz and Jack sped off and escaped the onrush of cars who now knew Lightning's true identity. Lightning, Cruz and Jack were aided in their escape by Mac the trailer truck, where Lightning spoke to Mater in a video call. Lightning discussed his poor training with Mater, who suggested that he should pay Doc Hudson's trainer Smokey a visit. At Doc's home track, Cruz was showing off a new drifting move that Lightning had taught her. Jack was impressed with Cruz's new racing skills. Suddenly, an old pickup truck appeared. It was Smokey. Smokey took Lightning, Cruz and Jack to his local bar, the Cotter Pin. There he introduced them to his friends, River Scott, Junior Moon and Louise Nash. They were all legends in the world of racing. The legends started to share stories about the late, great Doc Hudson, or as they called him, Hud. Smokey told a particularly brilliant story about the time Hud had pushed off a wall to flip over a younger racer who was too fast to catch on four wheels. "That rookie never saw Hud coming," said Smokey with a chuckle. Later that evening, Lightning confessed to Smokey that he was afraid of not winning the race and having to end his career like Doc did. Smokey turned to Lightning and said, "You'll never be as fast as Storm, but you can be smarter than him." Smokey explained to Lightning that he needed a sparring partner who could replicate the feeling of racing against Storm. Jack knew that the perfect candidate for this role would be Cruz. With a little help from the legends, Guido and Jack, Cruz got some racing tyres and a spoiler and even got Storm duct taped to her bumper. She was ready to race Lightning. Smokey's first challenge for Lightning was to attempt to catch Cruz, who had been given a significant head start on a 3-lap speedway race. Lightning tried his hardest, but Cruz beat him easily. As the training continued, Cruz continued to show her worth. She matched Lightning wheel for wheel, even during a tricky task which involved navigating a tractor stampede. On the final day of training, Jack watched as Lightning and Cruz took part in one last race. Lightning got off to a great start, and as Jack, Smokey and the legends watched, he passed Cruz. Lightning was delighted, but his joy was fleeting as in seconds Cruz had powered past him and over the finish line to win. Lightning was out of time. He had to leave for Florida. The big race was only a day away. Race day. The Florida International Superspeedway buzzed with anticipation for the first race of the season. Jack was overawed by the magnificence of the speedway and could see why it was a favourite among racers and fans alike. As Lightning and his team made last-minute preparations, Storm rolled up to them with a cocky expression on his face. He looked Lightning up and down. "Hey there, champ. I hear you're selling mud flaps after today." He chuckled and headed off. Lightning lined up at the back of the grid, determined to beat Storm and win the race. The green flag dropped and the race began. Lightning immediately made his way through the field, listening to advice from Smokey through the headset as he zipped past car after car. He then heard Sterling's voice through the headset. "You're a trainer, remember, not a racer." Sterling had ordered Cruz to go back to the racing centre. Lightning's mind flashed back to the last few weeks and how Cruz had won the Demolition Derby and beaten him countless times in training. And then it dawned on Lightning. Cruz was a racer. Lightning spotted a crash up ahead. The yellow flag was waved and all the racers slowed down. No overtaking was allowed while the yellow flag was out. Lightning had an idea. He quickly headed to the pits and called to Smokey, "I need Cruz." Smokey put Lightning through to Cruz's mobile. Jack knew that Cruz was already outside the stadium. Jack hoped Lightning wasn't too late. Jack was relieved to see Cruz return to the stadium. Lightning explained to Cruz that he believed in her, and now was the time to show the world that she was a natural-born racer. Despite Sterling's protests, Cruz agreed to take Lightning's place in the race. With Jack and the rest of the team's help, the number 95 was now emblazoned proudly across Cruz's side. "The rules only say the number has to be out there," said Smokey. "Doesn't say who has to wear it." Cruz made her way out to join the race, much to the shock of the crowd and the other racers. She soon made her way past most of the pack and in the final lap of the race found herself wheel to wheel with the leader, Storm. Storm couldn't believe it. He pushed Cruz up against the wall and sparks began to fly from Cruz's wheels. "You don't belong on this track," Storm yelled angrily. But Cruz did belong. She pushed off the wall and flipped over Storm, landing ahead of him. Just like Doc Hudson, thought Jack. Cruz zoomed across the finish line and won the race. The stadium exploded with a thunderous roar from the fans. Lightning, the legends and Jack all cheered for Cruz, who spun celebratory donuts on the track. Sterling wanted Cruz to race for him, but she chose to race for Tex Dynaco. Sterling also lost the deal with Lightning as he was listed as the co-winner of the race. Jack shouted, "Go!" Lightning had made the decision to continue his racing career, but also to train Cruz, just as Doc Hudson had done with him. Lightning even changed his colours to honour Doc's memory. Lightning and Cruz took off and raced around the dirt track, both ready for the season ahead. The daydream came to an end as the family car arrived home. Jack couldn't wait to go back to the racetrack. Maybe one day Jack would meet Lightning McQueen, Cruz, and the rest of the Radiator Springs gang in real life.